So what does it mean to be a man? I've been thinking about this video, working on it for a while. Actually, I was going to call it the 12 characteristics of being a man. But so I was doing research I was getting ready for it. Ended up coming across some information that changed how I wanted to approach this video. So I'm going to slow things down. But I realized it's incredibly important, especially in today's day and age. There are so many distractions, so many people out there, so many false gurus, saying this is how you become a man. You have to get into this great shape. You've got to make this amount of money. You've got to sleep with this many women. And none of that matters. Yeah, it's fun. It's enjoyable. And I think the majority of you guys out there, the kind of life that you want to live, if you're watching this channel, you probably want to have somebody that you love in your life. You want to have family. You want to have a partner. You want to maybe have kids. You want to accomplish something. You want to, all these things that they're pushing out there. They're nice skills that pay the bills, and it works great on Instagram. But you know what? What's going to go on your tombstone? That's something I was fortunate enough at an early point to have that concept introduced to me and pushed on me. And so I want to share with you guys what I think constitutes being a man. And let me be clear, if it's not, this is 100% my opinion. I know some of you guys are going to disagree. I just want to share with you what's worked for me and the way I've been able to make sense of this world and be able to sleep soundly at night with the person I am. So if you've watched my channel for a while, you probably know I like to think I'm a bit of a prepper. I haven't gone all out with a bunker, but I'm all about, self-reliance, about independence. I love the idea of being outside the system, of being independent of all the chaos, all the craziness, of being able to think that, I can break away and that the decisions I'm making are my own. I mean, hell, I grew up in West Texas and watched that movie Lone Wolf McQuade again and again and again. Anyone else out there? And it was just this belief that, all I need is myself, maybe a weapon, and I could live off the land in my truck. I'll be fine. And to a degree, that's a good mentality. The fact that you're prepared, the fact that you have thought through things, the fact that you aren't always having to rely on other people to be able to survive, be able to make things happen. Because there's a lot of people that are way over reliant. So if I'm going to be one direction, I'd rather be a little bit more leaning towards the prepper, towards the self-reliant person. And so this next point, being committed to other people, almost sounds like an oxymoron when you have that first one there. But that's why I said to a limited degree being self-reliant, because I don't believe that we live in a vacuum. And one thing I've learned as I've aged, have put more years on this earth, having kids, having a great partner, having awesome friends, is that, committing to those relationships has made life so fulfilling and rewarding. So like a lot of you guys, my parents divorced when I was young. I was about 5. My dad would try to come out. He would drive from California to Texas. It seemed like every summer just to see us for a couple of weeks. And I was 15, and he came, picked me, Lena up, my brother Tom, and he drove us out to California. He introduced us to his new wife. She hated us. I don't know. She'd go, I was okay because I don't bother anybody. My brother Tom's just kind of weird at times. My sister Lena, she was just at that age. Liz hated her. And my dad had to make a decision. You're going to stick with your wife, you're going to stick with your kids. Because Liz said, we got to go. And he packed us up and he drove us all the way back to Texas, dropped us off. And I didn't see my dad again for probably, 17, 18 years. I'll tell you, my dad abandoning us like that. Me, I feel I was able to be okay with it. It really, I think, bothered my younger brother, Tom. He didn't understand what was going on, why dad, didn't love him anymore, didn't want to see him. And my sister, I think it really screwed her up. She had issues for the rest of her life. And I don't think she ever really recovered from it. My older sister, she still, to this day, I did go eventually see my dad. He divorced. And so he wanted to try to build the relationship back, but it's too late. Everyone's all busy with their lives. And to this day, he still can't commit to the little things. Like, I'll be out there with my family and they're like, hey, Dad, let's meet up. So we went to a restaurant and he showed 2 hours late. And I realized I talked to my sister Lisa because he would do this all the time. He just couldn't commit. He would sometimes not even show. And she said, I just can't be around. I can't expose my kids to somebody like this that can't even commit to showing up on time. Now, understand when I'm saying men commit to relationships, I'm not saying you got to stick with a bad relationship or a toxic relationship. You can get amazing things out of a relationship. I know marriage is off the table for a lot of you guys. You've gone through a divorce or you just know it's not for you. You've got too much to lose. But I will say, I'm about to celebrate the 20th wedding anniversary with my wife. And I look at that's one of the greatest things that's happened to me. And she's given me the greatest things in my life. 5 beautiful kids, a family that, we love each other. We take care of each other. We look out for each other. And in a sense, I've tried to go the opposite path. I used my dad as an anti-example of what I wanted to. I have the conversations with my kids. I really do. I try to be there for everything that I can. Gents, the reality is commitment is work. Commitment is a lot of effort. Commitment is a lot of time. And there is no guarantee that everything that you're investing in this other person, everything you're investing in this relationship, that you're going to get really anything back, which maybe sounds like a bad deal, except if you look at it, what does it do to you? And that's where I think a lot of guys miss one of the big things with commitment. When you commit to, let's just say, raising a child or anyone that's committed to owning an animal, you love that person. You put in this effort. It's almost like a mirror. And what you give them reflects right back to you. And that commitment, I think, no matter how that relationship turns out, it's a reflection on you and something you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can say, I gave it my all. I did what I could. Maybe, it ends in divorce. Maybe your kids don't want to speak to you because of something that was out of your control, a breakup and someone was whispering poison into their ear. But you know what? If you if you could look at yourself in the mirror and said, I did what I could. I reached out. I, went through the court. I got, letters to her to let her know that I care about her. I love her. I'm here to support her. I want to do what I can. Being able to commit, being able to make a promise, being able to follow up and be consistent with that promise. I think that that's one of the key characteristics of being a man. So initially, I didn't even have this as a characteristic of what it means to be a man. But about a week ago, I came across an article that just broke my heart. And I couldn't get it out of my mind. And I was even found myself crying multiple times just thinking about this incident. Now, gents, the story I'm about to share with you is really sad, really emotional. And if this kind of stuff bothers you, down, I'll provide a way to be able to skip it down in the description of today's video. But I read about this incident the other day and I couldn't get it out of my mind for days. I was thinking about it and I decided to put it into today's video because it just hit on something that I think something that so many of us are bad about. Because let's face it, gents, how many of you guys actually know your neighbors, talk with your neighbors, check in on your neighbors? How many of you guys actually are contributing to your local community? So the incident happened over in the UK at the beginning of this year. Apparently, there was a gentleman, 60 years old, older father, was with his 2-year-old son. And he had a heart attack. Nobody came to check in on him. And they found him, I think it was 2 weeks later, 10 days later. And his little 2-year-old boy ended up dying of dehydration or starvation. But they found him curled up next to his dead dad. And I just read this story. I just think of this little boy. I've got a 2-year-old. Well, she's almost 2, but sorry, gents. I put this in the video because I wanted to selfishly kind of give myself maybe a little bit of closure here. I don't even know the guy, but I feel like I know the plight. I hear from so many of you guys that are alone, and I don't want you to die alone. I don't want you to have maybe someone that depends on you and for you to let them down. And again, gents, I want to stress I'm not making money off this video. Everything I make, I'm donating because I'm pretty emotionally invested into this one. If you can't tell, I really was on the fence about using the story I just talked about and sharing a lot of the stuff I'm going to be continuing to share in this video. But I reached out to a friend of mine and I asked him about it. And, the advice he gave is, hey, what do you feel compelled to do? And I felt compelled to do this, to get this information out there, because if it helps one guy, if it makes a difference in one of your lives, it'll have served its purpose. And gents, believe it or not, this video is sponsored. I'm not going to make any money on it. I'm going to donate everything to the GoFundMe that was set up for, the boy's name was Bronson and his dad's name was Kenneth. I'm just going to donate everything that I'm getting paid for this video over there. Because I do believe in BetterHelp. They're the sponsor of today's video. I believe in the power of therapy. I believe that you need someone to talk to about this. I'm happy I got a great relationship with my wife, but I know so many of you guys don't. You don't have anyone. And that's why I love BetterHelp. Guys, BetterHelp, in case you don't know, is the world's largest online therapy service. They're 100% online, and they've got over 30,000 licensed, experienced therapists that can help you deal with a number of issues. The way it works, gents, is you go to their website, you're going to answer a few questions about your preferences, your needs, because they want to be able to match you to the right therapist. Once you're matched with them, you can talk to them however you feel comfortable, whether it's text, whether it's chat. You can do a phone call, you can do a video call. On top of that, you can message your therapist whenever you want and set up appointment times that work for you. Oh, and if for some reason there's not a great connection with you and the therapist, you can find another therapist. You can go through the process again at no additional cost. In a nutshell, gents, with BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality as in-office therapy, but with a therapist that is custom picked for you with better scheduling, flexibility, and at an affordable price. So to get started, gents, go to betterhelp.com/realmen real style. I'm putting that link in the description of today's video, gents. If you use that link, you're going to save 10% off your first month. So what does emotional maturity mean? Well, maybe crying in a video, perhaps. I don't do it very often, but I think it's being okay with showing your emotions, with realizing that you're a human being, that there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, it's healthy. It feels good. It's cathartic to get emotions out there, but to realize that you've also got to keep them in check. I do have anger issues. And I know that if I don't go work out, if I don't exercise, and if stress builds up, that it's like a dripping faucet where, that drip, 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 and eventually that water builds up and it can explode. Some of you guys, you get it. You've been around people that everyone's screaming for your attention. People are treating you poorly. Everyone's stepping on your needs, and it keeps hitting, keeps hitting, keeps hitting. I think the ones I'm most ashamed of is whenever, I will hit the brakes on the car and freaks everyone out. I usually try to make sure, I don't know, it's stupid. And I do it just to be able to grab attention, but I'm thinking, is that really the best way to, and it wasn't. That was a recent one. It was a year ago. The one I'm probably most ashamed of is my son. I was down filming a video. This is back when Real Men Real Style just got started over a decade ago. And it's been a decade. And my son made a lot of noise upstairs. He was getting ready for school. And I came up and I yelled at him and I grabbed, there was a bag or something, and I threw it. And I remember it hit the sink and it bent the sink. I've got a couple of those reminders. One time I got so upset with, something coffee, and I smashed it down. And it was a French filter, and it somehow got all over the ceiling. My point, gents, is that a child throws a tantrum. A man, he learns to control his emotions. His emotions are still there. He feels them, but he develops techniques, he develops ways to be able to prevent his emotions from getting the best of him. Now, this one is really tough for a lot of people, me included. I remember having a conversation with a friend. It was probably about politics, something, you probably shouldn't always have a conversation about. And I remember asking him, if you received new evidence, like information that was irrefutable, that went against what you're saying here, would you change your mind? And he was straight up, no, I am not, I am right. And you realize that sometimes we get so caught up in with politics, with religion, with all this it becomes our identity. And we refuse to see what's in front of us for fear that somehow it's going to undermine us. It's going to make us wrong or inferior, or something is wrong with us if this is not right. And I've always had a problem with this. Maybe that's why I've got a problem with a lot of organized religions or even politics. Like, I don't view myself as being one side. I try to look at the person being presented in front of me, and do I think that they're going to do a great job? It takes a lot more time, and I don't always do it right. But, it's a question I ask myself. On my strongest held beliefs, would I change my mind on them if I was presented new information? And I'd like to think that I would actually consider and try to be open to that. I think that's the mark of a wise man. Not very few men are able to do this, but I think if you can adapt, if you can adjust, if you can learn and pick up information, I think it really is something that is a great skill and is the trait of a man who's at a high level. So, of course, this one had to be on the list, courage. I believe a man should be courageous. And to become courageous, I do think anyone can become courageous. I think you need to practice doing small, courageous acts. So when the time comes, whenever you have that big challenge in front of you, and most of us never face a huge, big challenge, but you'll be like, I've got a history of being a courageous man. It's all those small steps, all those small things. Some people think that, courage is, the absence of fear. No, that's being psychotic. People have this idea that on the battlefield, you're going to go save your buddy. Shells will be raining down and you'll run through them. Very rarely does anyone ever face anything like that, even in the military. Again, it's those day-to-day, those small things. Are you taking steps in the right direction? Are you following your dreams? Are you having the courage to say no when you know you need to? Do you have the courage to go after your dreams, to become that man you know yourself to be? Unfortunately, I don't think enough men have this type of courage. Do you? So how does that saying go? Success has 100 fathers and failure is an orphan. When it comes down to taking responsibility, to taking ownership, it's really easy when things are going good. But how to do it when things aren't so good, when things are bad, especially with things that are going on in your life, because it's so easy to blame others. When you play the victim, when you put the blame on others, there's nothing you can do about that, at least in your mind. But when you take that ownership, even if you shouldn't, I feel like you can still take that power to make the difference. That's what I love about people that are out there changing the world, kicking ass, is you see these guys, they like, oh yeah, it's my fault. And you look at it, it's like, well, actually it wasn't fully your fault. You could blame this, but no, they take it because they understand that this gives them the strength, it gives them the power to go out there and make a difference. Now, to want to make a difference, it really helps when you've got this, when you've got a purpose. The key point here is that to have direction, you need to have a goal. You need to have a compass, something that's giving you feedback. And so many people in their lives, maybe when they were kids, they had a goal, they had a dream of what they wanted to be. They got off track, as most of us probably don't actually go that way. And some of you guys are lucky, or some of you guys maybe are just stubborn. But very few of us, I think, as adults, take time, take a step back and look at, what do I want to achieve with the time I've got left? I'm fortunate. I think that was one of the biggest things I did in this last year is I put together a dream board. I know, kind of woo for people, but man, coming into my office and seeing the house I want to build, seeing the places I want to go, seeing the family that I want to continue to be able to provide for. I want to be able to help reach higher levels. Those kids, I just love them. Seeing those faces there, straight up, gents, a man with purpose, a man with direction is a man who is on his way. So I was reading a report the other day talking about why do most relationships fail? And it was very clear when they looked at long-term relationships that lasted versus ones that failed, whether it was 5 years into the marriage, 20 years into the marriage, and this also applied to friendships as well. It was a lack of respect. It was cutting off communication. But I know as men, and this was really big for us, is that whenever somebody disrespected us, whether it be our spouse, whether it be our friends, it was something that we held, and it really upset us. And so that's why I'm hitting on this from two angles here. We're talking about the respect that you show yourself because you are somebody special. You are somebody. I mean, think about there's no one else like you in the entire world. You are the pinnacle of your bloodline. You have, think about, go back thousands of generations. And the fact that you've made it this far is a miracle. And when you think about that, I mean, so have respect for this body. Have respect for this mind and what it's capable of. You have the same mind that was able to put men on the moon, the same mind that was able to develop tools that can see down, that can measure atoms. The same mind that is out there, in the smartest guy, you've got one that is very, very similar. And you may not want to achieve what that guy's going after, but have the self-respect to take care of this temple, take care of your body, maybe eat better, start exercising. And then once you show yourself self-respect, realize that everyone desires this. Many people can't even give it to themselves, but you can, lightly, maybe in a small way, just by simply saying thank you, opening a door for another man, simply bringing somebody flowers. I got flowers the other day from another man. Total crazy story. I actually helped him recover his YouTube channel. I'm not going to name him. Travis, awesome dude. And I didn't expect anything. And he sent me flowers and a whole bunch. I mean, he sent me additional stuff. There was a whole basket. My family loved it. I didn't expect it, but it made me feel great. And how can you show respect to another person who did a small thing for you, didn't even think about it? So this next word in many ways, I think, has fallen out of fashion, and that's the word honor. What does it mean to be an honorable man? I've got a simple definition here, and it is honor is intrinsic, and its measure lies not in external accolades or recognition, but in the quiet satisfaction of acting in alignment with one's principles. In fact, if you remember the movie Rob Roy, he talks about, his son asks, what is honor and how does a man get honor? Honor isn't something that anyone can take from you. It's a gift that a man gives himself when he knows who he is, he knows what he stands for, and he has the courage to stay true to those principles, even under adversity. So one of the best things that I did in college is I got a degree in philosophy. Yes, I also got a science degree, origins of behavior, but it was that degree in philosophy that I got for myself because I was just really interested. I had so many questions. And that double major and taking the time to take those classes and to read those books, the classics, that teach you to be self-reflective, to understand what came before you, that gives you those models to be able to work out the way, why do we think and why do we feel? And when you realize that so many men before you have lived very similar lives and dealt with the same problems, the same issues, you start to look inside and you start to ask yourself, what am I here for? What's the purpose? I still haven't fully found my purpose and what I'm here for. But one thing I do and I'm reflective about, and I want to thank you, is that you guys pay attention to these videos. You watch these videos. I'm able to provide a living to my family. I've got a team of 10 people that have worked for me for years. We've got other businesses that help support us. But I'm very grateful for your time, for your attention. And I'm really hoping that in today's video, you got value from this. And if you did, maybe share it with somebody that could get value from it. But if you've got something to add, if you have thoughts on what it really means to be a man, you're like, Antonio, you totally missed it. You should have talked about, being financially independent. Yeah, there was some practical stuff I could have added to this. But let me know in the comments below. Take care, gents. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. Boom, right there. Check it out. It's got to be a good one, yeah.